The advice and opinions expressed by the host of Autism Live and her guests are meant solely as suggestion and should not be in any way construed as child-specific advice. The Center for Autism and Related Disorders advises working with a board-certified behavior analyst who has experience with autism before starting any intensive behavioral intervention. Any choices you make in determining your child's treatment are completely at your own discretion.
Good morning and welcome to Autism Live. I'm Shannon Penrod and we are webcasting to you live from the Warner Center in Woodland Hills, California. Thrilled to be here with you on this Tuesday. Yes, I have a voice that is compromised today, but thrilled to be here with you. And we've got an amazing show and we've got news to tell you about tomorrow's show as well, because tomorrow we're doing a special segment of The Future is Bright with Stephanie Schaefer as the host. This is the hour that we produce in conjunction with the Autism Society of America. Their very special guest tomorrow is going to be Tony Colho. He is one of the top-ranking officials in the Hillary Clinton campaign. He is one of her top advisors on disability issues, having formerly been a top official in the National Epilepsy Society, I think it's Society or Association, and he is a very well-known politician, somebody who was instrumental in authoring ADA, the Americans with Disabilities Act. So he is going to be with Stephanie tomorrow on the show. We're going to pre-tape it, and then it will be live on the network, pre-taped, but live on the network at 2 o'clock tomorrow Pacific time. If you have questions, these are questions that are to somebody who is instrumental in the planning of all things that happen with disabilities for the Clinton campaign. Please send those in to me ASAP so that I can get them to Stephanie Schaefer. We're really excited about this and really thrilled that Tony has agreed to be with us tomorrow. Today, though, we've got an amazing show, and I'm going to get into all of that in just a second. But I want to thank you again for all of your condolences for Nancy and her family. And again, she wants you to know how much it means to her. She had an opportunity, finally this morning, she's been very busy, but she had an opportunity to see the lovely video that Kelby did in memory of Reed, and was so moved by it, so moved by it. She's been so moved by everything that you guys have written in as well. And I spoke with her both last night and this morning, and she said, hearing from you guys and knowing that you're a part of her family and her community, she said it was everything. So, and in particular, there was something that I read on the air yesterday from one viewer who wrote it and said how much being able to watch Nancy and I here on the show had helped them on their journey. And I said it to Nancy, and Nancy wrote back, and she said, really, this is what I live for. So I wanted you to know that it was so appreciated. And she, I think, is going to be back with us next Wednesday. We'll see how that goes. We don't want to rush her. But I do want to remind you that we're going to be with you live for the next 2 hours talking about autism from a 360-degree perspective. We have some amazing guests with us, and we know that you're going to want to interact with us. So Kelby's going to show you some of the different ways that you can interact, some of the different ways that you can participate in the conversation. While he does that, I want to remind you that our homepage is autism-live.com. When you go there, many things to do, not the least of which is watch the live show or a recently recorded live show. You can also there's a playlist up in the upper left-hand corner. If you go there, you can watch any of the last 100 recent shows. If you want to go further back in the archives into the more than 2,500 videos that we have, please check those out on our YouTube page. All of the content that we do is free to you. It's in many different places. Kelby just showed you some of the different places. But again, it's all meant to be interactive. Now, to the side on our homepage, autism-live.com, to the side of the computer screen is a series of white boxes. If you will put your cursor in the one that says your questions, and it can be questions, comments, whatever. All you have to do is put your cursor there, start typing, hit enter, and it shows up here on my screen. You and I can have a conversation, but better than that, you can have a conversation with some of our experts that we have in on the show. We have 2 experts who are going to be with us live today, and bless their hearts for wanting to be in a room with me. But they're going to be with us, and we're going to have a really wonderful conversation with them. That I'm just going to say this. I think that what you're going to hear today on this show, this is game changer time. I've been sitting on some information for about a week and a half because we scheduled our guest and he couldn't be here till today. But I read something a week and a half ago and I went, well, stop the presses. Everybody stop everything. This is game changing. It's new research that has come out and is coming out about the effectiveness of autism treatment and how to make it the most effective. It is not only game changing, it's life changing. So you're not going to want to miss that. I can't get anything. There we go. No, I can't get anything to come up on my iPad. Give me 1 second here. I know. I'm working on it. Work with me. Okay. But we like to start every show with something that we fondly refer to as the jargon of the day. This is when we take on one word, one phrase, one acronym. We try to figure out what are they talking about? What is this all about? I have to tell you that last week we were at a PTA meeting for my son's school, and they had the principal from the high school that his junior high feeds into come and do a presentation. And it was hilarious to me because I kind of want to send this principal an email and go, I know you're entrenched in your school jargon, but that doesn't mean the rest of us are. He stood in front of the room and he said, well, and he started talking about AP classes. And, if you've worked at a school, you know what AP classes are, but there are parents that were in that room that their kids, they're their first child going through school and has not been to high school yet. And finally, somebody had the chutzpah to raise their hand and go, I have no idea what you're talking about. What are you talking about? He was using so much jargon, it was crazy. But this is why we do the jargon of the day, because they're our jargon today is CBS. Now, as far as I know, this is a network on television, right, that plays TV things, right? The Central Broadcasting System, right? But when we're talking about this with autism, this is the new hot jargon that you're going to hear a lot about. CBS. What is CBS? Okay, so our actual definition for CBS stands for Center-Based Services. This is autism treatment services offered at a facility with supervisors present. Okay. And this is something you're going to start to hear a lot about, which starting with today's show. Let's look at our working definition. The reason why you're going to hear about it is because it's currently the most effective form of autism treatment. And we're going to explain to you exactly why. We've got the expert to explain to you what it is we have discovered in the last couple of months. But I want to give you a little bit of background first, though, because it used to be the history of how ABA and autism treatment has come to be is so fascinating. But one of the main things that happened, there was something called the Lanterman Act here in the state of California, that it made regional centers that provided for individuals with special needs up through adulthood, right? And they started to cover ABA. I'm going to sneeze. Kelby, excuse me. Kelby, cover your ears. We've got the tissues. Okay, so one of the things that happened with the regional center was they felt it was so pivotal and important that parents learn these techniques. And so they made a decision that in order to fund, the state of California to fund these services, it had to happen in the home and the parent had to be there, and the therapist would work on real life situations with the individual with autism. And the parents would be there to hear it all. And so that kind of morphed into what everybody did because the state of California was doing it, and the state of California is often forward thinking and a leader in things, and it was very effective. Let's not say, this is what my son had. This was very, very effective. But then came along insurance reform, and insurance, does things differently. And so they said, well, let's make it as efficient as possible. And so if one therapist is there with one child, and people we don't want to pay for people to travel to the home, right? They were kind of looking at it as like, well, we used to do house calls too, and insurance doesn't pay for that anymore. So center-based started to be, and people were like, well, we don't know, is this more effective? Wait till you hear. Wait till you hear later on. You're going to be game changer. Everybody rearrange their lives because this is currently the most effective form of autism treatment. Thank you, insurance, for helping us to figure that out. Okay, so that's our jargon for today. And don't worry if you're a little bit lost. We're going to talk about this extensively in the second hour of the show. We always have a question for you. Our question for you today is, what's the best way that you learn? What's your learning style? How do you learn things? Are you somebody, like I am somebody who, if somebody's going to stand in front of me and lecture, that is not the way I learn, right? I need to see it in text instead of having somebody talk to me about it. I need to experience it. For me, other people, they much prefer, we have a whole college system that's built on, an instructor standing up and lecturing in front of people. Some people have to have sensory things completely dimmed down in order to learn. Other people do well with music playing in the background. So how do you learn? What's the best way that you learn? We're going to be talking about learning styles a little bit later on in the show. We always have a topic for our week. We didn't get a chance to give you our topic earlier this week, but our topic this week is effective autism treatment. There's a gentleman here at the Center for Autism and Related Disorders. His name is Sangam Pant, and he signs all of his emails with Autism Treatment E3, and E to the third power. And I said to him, what does that mean? What is that all about? And he said, oh, well, my guiding mission is that autism treatment be efficient, effective, and everywhere. So it's E to the 3. And I said to him, oh, okay, but the effective is the most important part of that. And I think that a lot of people agree with me with this, that if we can make it efficient and we can make it everywhere, but if it's not effective, what's the point, right? So today we're going to be talking about effective autism treatment. And I promised you a great show with great people. Really so excited that for the first time on our show, we are going to have Dr. Dennis Dixon, and he's going to be talking to us about research that he has been involved with that clearly shows that center-based services are the most effective form of autism treatment. And he's also going to talk, we're going to get to talk a little bit about some research that went along with Camp Discovery. We've got some autism news for you. And before all of that, Angela Persicke, who used to be a regular on the show, but then she got very, very busy. She's going to join us again today to talk about what she's been busy with and how she's helping to have that more effective autism treatment get to more children in a specific area of California. It's very, very exciting. So all of that and ever so much more. Don't forget that it's Mindful Thursday. So at some point we're going to have a moment to talk about being mindful, which leads to happiness and less stress. I think we're in the market for both of those things, right? All of this and so much more on Autism Live coming up after these messages.
Nick was diagnosed with autism in 1994 at the age of 4. He received 5 years of therapy from CARD that eventually faded out. Nick recovered from autism in 2001.
The song I'm about to perform is by the Red Hot Chili Peppers. CARD helped many patients, myself, to recover to this level now.
Cheryl and Mike's son, Jack Riley, was diagnosed with autism in 2010 at age 2. He's been receiving therapy from CARD for a year and a half. Today, Cheryl, Mike, and Nick meet for the first time.
I'm curious as to what you remember.
I certainly remember
pretty long sessions, and I'd be frustrated if I would make mistakes. I mean, I remember one time I had to count a row of 6 blocks, kept messing up. That was really difficult.
I need it.
No.
I need it. I need it.
At what point do you recall hearing the word autism?
I was able to figure out what I was going through without anybody having to tell me.
Our concern is if it's a big secret to hide. I don't know what we can say.
No one ever told you, you just discerned
But the
it?
reason I'm comfortable talking about this is because I felt it. In therapy, I certainly began questioning why people reacted as they did based on what I said and did. Particularly because of difficulties I was facing in school. It got to a point where I wanted to understand why it was. So I entered while still going through therapy and still showing significant signs of the mental condition. Even after I'd improved to a significant extent, there were those who still gave me a hard time for it.
Did it hurt your feelings when you were in school, the way that kids...
Oh, absolutely, because it was bullying, it was harassment.
That scares us.
They called me names. I was basically, when it came to sports and PE, I was usually the last kid chosen.
Did teachers intervene?
Fortunately, not really. I mean, it was just so hard for me to talk about it because of how ashamed I felt. Certainly the first few years of elementary school, I don't think I really had the most supportive teachers. I mean, I remember my mom told me how my first grade teacher once said that she thought I had no chance of getting anywhere. And going away to college and out of state and being the only person from my old school district has made a difference. It's just really improved my social life tremendously because I got to be me, because with nobody knowing about my past, I wasn't faced with these misconceptions and prejudgments.
Do you tell people, new people that you meet?
No, that's not the first thing I will ever
No, I would
tell
hope it's not the
and
first
you
thing.
know what? In most cases, I never do, because while it's a part of my past, it doesn't define who I am. I mean, just thinking back to the very beginning, pretty much each episode, autism, what, not who.
I want to tell you right now, though, I'm so impressed with you.
Likewise.
I want you to know that.
Likewise. I mean, your son really inspires me just as much, because I'll tell you, anytime
I adore him, but I'd be lying if I said it wasn't challenging.
I mean,
It's cost me the stuff that like career things, goals. I don't care about those anymore. I work at night. I'm tending bar. Not that I'm too good for that. I'm just saying that's what I do. I want him to have a chance.
right.
And you inspire me now.
Thank you. The feeling goes both ways. The feeling's mutual.
Before you leave today, we would like you to meet Jack.
I would love to.
This is Nick.
Hi, Nick.
Hey, Jack Riley.
All right, should we try this? I'm gonna try to take a picture of all of you. 1, 2, and 3.
Jack Riley, you rock.
Welcome back to Autism Live. I'm so excited because we have one of our favorite people here in the studio with us. Angela Persicke is an amazing person. She used to be a weekly regular on our show, and that had to go away because you got insanely busy, and there just wasn't time in the schedule for it. But we're thrilled that you're back today, and we'll take you whenever we can have you. This is an amazing young woman who is tearing it up, quite frankly. She's a board-certified behavior analyst, but she is now the clinical, stop me if I get it wrong, the clinical lead of the Thousand Oaks office for CARD. So I got
correct.
it right?
Yes.
And we want to talk a little bit about what that means and what you've been doing for the last while, because you're doing an amazing job, young lady.
Thank you.
And you're making it possible for families to get their dream. You are one of many people that are being the clinical leads at different offices, but in particular, there's some really exciting things going on in Thousand Oaks. I will say that, a full disclosure that last summer, my son got to be a part of something that you were doing at your office. We talked about it a little bit here on the show, and Nancy's son was a part of it too. You had the Miracle Project come in.
Yes, we did.
Do a theater project. I think that you saw yesterday, we all got a further email. There was, while you were doing that, there were many things that happened as a result of that, and you had some press come in to cover it. One person from NPR came in to cover it, and that was very exciting, and everybody was really thrilled. But just earlier last week, that reporter won a Golden Mike Award for that article on what happened at your location. Which we were all excited to see.
Very exciting.
Because, we talk about rewarding people for doing things and we don't get the press to come enough, and he got rewarded.
Yes.
And he did a great job.
An amazing job on that article.
Yeah. And we should find the link so people can listen to that. But a great article. And part of it, though, was that it was a great story.
Yep.
So why did you, as the clinical lead for an office, decide to have the Miracle Project come in and do this? What benefit did you see in it?
Sure. Well, the Miracle Project is so well known, and they do such great work for families. And it's not just bringing kids together and giving them an opportunity to be part of a theater program like that, but also just giving families and kids an opportunity to be a part of something that's bigger, and letting them be welcome in that space, and letting them be themselves, and giving them something to have, like something that's fun, that they could potentially go into later and do more with. And I don't think there are a lot of opportunities for our kids like that out there. And so
not enough.
Yeah, just like that, just that in and of itself, we're really excited about working with the Miracle Project. And then having it out of the Thousand Oaks location, the office is smaller, and we wanted to allow the community to see what we had to offer, and what we had there, and our staff, and how great it is to work with our staff. And so we had a lot of families from the community that came in, and I think about 20 kids total participated, and it was a week-long superhero camp. So
they weren't all card families.
No.
By any stretch of the imagination. And I just thought that was a lovely thing, because it would have been easy to say, well, this is just for the card families at the Thousand Oaks office, but you opened it up to everyone. I will say, too, that you partnered with Autism Care and Treatment Today, so it was zero cost to each and every child who came to do that.
Exactly.
Which was amazing. And there were so many families, ours included. I don't know, I would love to say that I would have done it even with the cost, but, I mean, things, you have things you have to choose between.
Of course.
There were so many families that when we were there watching the performances that were like, we couldn't have done this. We could not have done this.
Yeah.
And it was life-changing.
Yeah.
I think for everybody. I think it was life-changing there were kids who were neurotypical who participated and who talked about, boy, this was amazing for them. I know for my kid, it was an amazing opportunity for him. And I got a chance to talk to parents afterwards. And what was funny was we were there under the auspices of Autism Live, and we interviewed some parents, and they didn't know that, they didn't put it together that my kid was one of the kids. They didn't know, and they didn't know that I'd been a card family before, and that so they were explaining to me how much this meant to them. And finally I would go, my kid was this kid, and they were like, oh, and hugging me and going, then because it was really, really amazing. So, but that's, not the only thing that you guys have been doing. So I want to take a short break, and then I want to come back and talk about some of the things that you guys have been doing and some of the things that are going on in there. And I just want to say Thousand Oaks is here. It's in the Los Angeles area, but it's sort of to the left of Los Angeles, if you're looking at the map. And it's west, and a wonderful, wonderful community. And are you guys currently taking kids? Are you full?
Yes. No, we are currently taking kids.
And so if you have questions about this particular card location or any card location, the best place to go is to centerforautism.com. At the top, you will see an 800 number that you can call for any of the locations. But if you click on the locations tab, it lists all the different places where card offices are. That list grows every single day. I am amazed at how much that list is growing.
Me too.
Places where card services are available. And if you don't see a city close to you, keep in mind that they CARD does remote services. So anywhere in the world, you can have card services in your home. So we're going to take a break, and then we'll be back more with Angela Persicke talking about some of the amazing things that they have going on in the Thousand Oaks office. Stick with us.
What is autism?
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 I've been asking myself that for a very, very long time.
Let me think about that one.
Trying to just
Jeez. Let me think. Oh man, that's a rough one. Yes.
Autism.
Autism is a neurological disorder that affects many of our kids in different ways.
It's a learning disability that affects the cognitive functions of the brain.
A lot of people have the misconception that it's a disability, and it's really not.
I look at it as like a special gift.
When one person thinks differently from another.
It's an opportunity for everyone to learn to understand someone that's a little different than them. Autism is the ability to educate.
They're given so much talent in different areas.
To me, autism means a chance to be with and be around people you really care about. Autism is beautiful.
It's a way of seeing the world differently.
It's always unique, totally intelligent, and sometimes mysterious.
Happiness that comes out of my son's hard work.
It's a movement.
Unpredictable.
That's right.
Awesome. Love.
The field I want to work in.
Laughter, fun, joy. Autism is beautiful to me.
I want you to remember these 3 words. There is hope.
Welcome back to Autism Live. We have with us live in the studio one of our favorite guests. Angela Persicke is with us, and you may remember her because Angela used to be a regular on the show every Thursday, in fact. And she is a board-certified behavior analyst. She used to come in and answer questions that you guys would have. And then we started doing it like once a month, and she was really, really busy. And part of the reason why she was really busy was that she was taking over being the clinical lead of the Thousand Oaks office here in California. And honestly, I was just saying during the break, you're just tearing it up. You're just doing such a good job. And this is a hard job, you know, because really, you know, you're the grand poobah of the location and making sure that all the kids that are part of your location are serviced. You're helping to take care of the therapists to make sure that they can go and deliver the best quality treatment, and then all the extraneous things. And there are a lot of extraneous things happening at the different card offices, and I gotta say, you know, there are so many different card offices, and everyone has their own flavor. Everyone does it their own way. But what's great about it is that when somebody starts doing something, then we can point to that and go, hey, look at what they're doing over there. And we find ourselves saying that a lot about the Thousand Oaks office. Look what they're doing over. Look what Angela Persicke's doing over there. So I wanted to have you on because I always want to have you on. But a lot of people wanted to have you on talk about some of the things that you're doing there. And we mentioned the Miracle Project last summer. I noticed when I was in your office that was that was a week-long summer camp, but it wasn't the only summer camp that you had going on. And you guys are going to have a summer camp this summer too, aren't you? And you had, like, every week was a different theme. Angela, I was impressed. I was really impressed.
Oh, we work really closely. We have one of our therapists had started doing more of this extracurricular activity planning because she was really excited about it, and we said, yes, let's do it. Let's do it at our office. And so now she works a lot here at corporate, Candace Lozano, putting together a lot of these programs. And we just wanted our center to be a place where kids are not only coming there to learn, but also to have fun. And I wanted every child to be happy to come there. And part of that is making the environment a place where it's exciting, it's fun, and they get to engage in a lot of different and creative things. And so, yeah, we have weekly themes. And so, you know, maybe one week it will be a superhero theme, and the next week it will be a zombie theme.
I noticed there was like one that was a dinosaur
Yeah,
week, and I feel like there was one that
there's a pirate week.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
just these interesting. And I noticed, some of the things that I've heard from some of the families are that, now that everybody's moving towards this center-based system, and we're going to talk about it in the next hour with Dr. Dennis Dixon about why we're moving to center-based, but that what they really appreciate is when there are things for the kids to do at different levels, because all kids with autism getting ABA treatment are not 3.
Yeah.
Like, it's great to have some Fisher-Price stuff in the house, woohoo, right? But what about for the 8-year-olds, and what about for the 16-year-olds, and what about for the 22-year-olds?
Exactly.
And I saw that you were already hitting that out of the park. There were a couple of times that my son and I came early or stayed late or whatever, and he found friends there and was playing video games on some sort. I don't know whether it was an Xbox or what it was. He was having a ball, and I know you've taken that and stretched it. I understand you have a Minecraft activity that's happening.
We've created this Minecraft social skills group in collaboration with CJ from that works in more of the gaming department, I guess, here at corporate. And so he came out and we set up several computers in the same room, and we had 2 different groups. We had a younger group that was about maybe an 8 to 11-year-old range, and then we had a teen group as well that was about 14 to 18 years old, and we taught them how to play Minecraft, and it was in a setting where we could work on social skills at the same time, because in those games you can interact with each other, and the kids had a blast and just loved it. And so now we have that set up, and so we can incorporate that into some of our sessions, because many of our kids love Minecraft.
Yeah. It's funny, we were doing an interview yesterday with a great mom. She's known as the Autism Supermom because she turned her yard into an urban organic farm to have her kids eat organic.
That's awesome.
But one of the things she said was, I was doing ABA for a little while and I stopped doing it because my kid was turning into a robot. And you know me, and I went, no, that's like, there are people doing that, but that is not good quality ABA. And well, I was talking to her after the show, and she went on the CARD website, and she said there are pictures of kids holding guitars, and there are pictures of kids singing, and I said, yeah, CARD. I don't always realize it because so much of my experience has been CARD, but when I talk to families and they talk to me about it, I go, no. One of the things that CARD does so well and that you're putting paid to is taking things that the kids are interested in and utilizing that to accomplish all of the things that we need to accomplish with them. So it's not this dry, rote, horrible torture.
No.
The kids are excited. They're happy to be there. They want to be there, and they're learning.
Yep. And part of it too, for especially for our kids that are more high functioning, that need a lot more work related to social skills and the cognition skills and perspective taking. For those kids specifically, it's really important to do the natural environment training. So set up the environment how it would look for them, and contrive those opportunities for them to learn the skills that they still are lacking. And for the most part, those kids don't realize they're working hard.
Yeah, to them they think they're playing.
Yeah.
But you know what? It's play that's on a higher level because there's somebody there when a disconnect happens. There's somebody there to help them to language and plug it in so that it does work, and then they have more fun.
Yep, and then give them so many more opportunities to practice that same skill.
Yeah.
So in just if they were going to school on the playground at break or whatever, they would maybe have one opportunity to practice something.
Right.
So what we do is we take that and then we give them so many more opportunities, and so they become very skilled in that specific thing?
I think back, it was my 50th birthday, and a friend was having a dinner party for my 50th birthday, and it was nice. We went over, and my son was, doing really well, but a bunch of the kids were going to play on the computer, and he plays on the computer, and he wanted them to play in a certain way. And at one point, he hadn't had a meltdown in forever, but he had a meltdown in front of their front door, and I recall him laying on the floor and saying to me, "What am I doing wrong? Why won't they play with me?" And I always think of that when, I love all of our self-advocates who say, we should just let our kids with autism be who they are. Because I do believe that. But that lets out, there's things that are hard for them that they want to know how to do. And when you see your kid laying on the floor by the door crying, saying, what am I doing wrong? What do I have to do to get them to play with me? You want to help them.
Yeah.
And now my kid, because of help that we got through CARD, he knows how to connect with the other kids to play, and he's Mr. Popular now when they're playing video games. So I think this is brilliant.
Yeah.
Just one of the brilliant things that you're doing. We're going to take a break, and then we're going to come back and talk about some more things going on at Thousand Oaks office. Stick with us.
Currently, in the United States, 1 in 88 children is affected by autism. 1 in 88 means something different when your child is the one. Recovery is possible. Hi, I'm Shannon Penrod, host of Autism Live, an online show about autism broadcast by CARD, the Center for Autism and Related Disorders. I'm also the mother of a child with autism. My beautiful son, Jem. You know our old joke, guess what?
Chicken butt.
Chicken butt. So we're gonna take the chickens. But things weren't always so easy. I remember when Jem was first diagnosed with autism. I used to lay awake at night in bed and pray for someone or something that could help us to get our child back. My prayers were answered by Dr. Doreen Graham-Pichet and the Center for Autism and Related Disorders. CARD treats autism and other related disorders using the principles of ABA, Applied Behavior Analysis, which is the only scientifically proven effective treatment for autism. It is also recommended by the American Academy of Pediatrics and the U.S. Surgeon General. About a year after we started treatment with CARD, we were able to see tremendous improvement, and we got our child back.
What grade are you in?
Second.
You are a smart cookie, huh? Do you like school?
Yeah.
Do you have any good friends?
Yeah, Oscar.
Oscar is your best friend?
Yeah.
And my child is just one of thousands to benefit from CARD ABA therapy. Across the nation and around the world, children are making amazing progress and being given the keys to unlock their full potential.
Recovery from autism is absolutely a possibility. We've been recovering children for over 20 years. It's just a matter of identifying the child's medical needs, understanding the child's sensory issues, and then teaching the child all of the skills they need in order to function normally.
We know there's hope for autism. Autism is treatable and recovery from autism is possible.
Welcome back to Autism Live. We're so excited because we have Angela Persicke here with us, and she is the clinical lead of the Thousand Oaks office for CARD. We've been talking about some of the amazing things that are happening at that CARD office. And again, I want to say this, that each CARD office is its, it has its own flavor, it does its own things, and part of what drives what happens at the office is the clinical lead. It's sort of like when you have a designer come in and, you're going to see their thumbprint on it. Part of it is the community and what the families need. So if you are not at the Thousand Oaks office and you're going, well, I want that, talk to your clinical lead and say, hey, we hear that the Thousand Oaks office did this. Even, I know you're probably thinking, well, we can't have the Miracle Project come. Oh no, my friends. That is something that is a distinct possibility. The Miracle Project travels around the country, and they do several different cities every year. So it is still a possibility, even if you are outside of the state of California, that they could come. But, if the clinical lead doesn't know that that's what you're interested in, let's put it this way, they're not in the business of mind reading.
Yep,
So if
exactly.
and if you think, well, I want a Minecraft club, then absolutely talk to your clinical lead, and they can talk to Angela, or they can talk to CJ Miyake, who's about to have a baby any day. Have they had a baby yet?
I didn't know that.
Any day now.
Wow.
I have not heard
That's
anything
exciting.
from him. We'll have to see when he has. We wish them well and excited for them. So tell us about some of the other things that are going on at the Thousand Oaks office.
So one thing we do, especially for our current clients, but it's not just limited to our current clients, is we have weekly social skills groups. So we have what we call Friendship Club for our about 7 to 12-year-old range on Mondays, and on Fridays we have our teen group. And so during that, again, every child has their individual skills and or goals and programs that they're working on. But what we do is incorporate that into the social skills group. And even with children who are coming to the center, they get a lot of opportunities to interact with other children, which is wonderful. But this specifically is more for a larger group of kids, and there's a lot of other things that go into that. There's a lot of conflict that comes up, when you have just two kids playing together, you could maybe take turns and say, okay, like let Jimmy win now.
Right.
But now there's a group of 8 kids.
Yeah.
And there are kids that won't win any game throughout the whole evening, which happens all the time.
That's
It's reality.
and it's going to happen.
Exactly.
And to give our kids the skills to deal with that.
Exactly. In a very supportive environment.
Yes.
And so each child still has their one-to-one aid, but what we do during friendship clubs is we fade back a little bit more and let them apply a lot of those skills that we're teaching them in the more one-to-one settings during friendship club. And then we also will go out in the community. There are various restaurants nearby, and so we'll take them out and we'll practice things like ordering food and how to appropriately sit and eat in a restaurant with your friends, and where you shouldn't be as loud as you would be if you were outside. You have to be at this level and maintain at this level. And so there are a lot of fun skills we work on during Friendship Club, and a lot of our families love that we offer that, and are so excited to see their kids excited to go and making friends, because that's a huge part of it too. It's so difficult to make friends, especially when the kids get older, because setting up play dates between parents it doesn't happen as much.
Well, and as Jem tells me, we don't call it play dates anymore at this point. He informed me like a couple of months ago. He's like, we're going to hang out, but it is not a play date.
Yep.
Stop saying that.
And parents are busy and they can't coordinate that as easily. And so this gives the kids an opportunity to meet friends, and then the parents see each other too, and they'll start scheduling things outside of Friendship Club. And a lot of things that we're doing with our teens as well is getting them to text each other,
nice.
And practicing texting each other, and like, okay, so if on a Saturday you want to see your friend, this is how you do it, and this is how you initiate, hanging out with your friend on the weekend when you're not part of Friendship Club. And so giving them those skills and giving them the confidence to use those skills even when they're not at our center.
So great to have that breadth of different things going on. We want to make sure we don't let people think that it's all the services that you guys have are for high functioning kids. I think we're highlighting that because there's been a gap there for years of things that we didn't have like this. But you guys deal with the full spectrum of autism and autism therapies. Yes. I think what I want people to walk away with is understanding that it's not a one size fits all ever.
No, it never is. And even for the friendship clubs, the range of abilities is large, and so we will have some children that can participate in some activities come and participate, and then go back and work on more of the individual skills that they need if they can't participate in the other activities. But something so simple as like freeze dance. So many kids can do that, and that's fun. And we get all of our kids to come in for something like that, you know.
Love it.
But also just practicing other skills for the children that are maybe lower functioning or nonverbal, where they can just like sit and actually practice sitting and taking turns.
Yes,
that's important for them too. And
absolutely.
So we don't see any one group as this is the group and this is all you have to be X, Y, and Z to fit into it. And we invite all of our kids to participate.
It's really amazing. Now, is your location one of the ones that's about to get the Nerf? The Nerf? I don't think maybe
so.
Not. Oh, because I'm excited about knowing more about that. They're going to do team building and team problem solving using Nerf. Very exciting. You will eventually.
Yes, we will eventually.
But Angela, I just think that what you're doing is amazing. I think it shows in what's happening in your office. I know I've heard from parents about how exciting it has been having you at the helm. And I know that you have fairly recently become the office that deals with the Jackson family, and the way you guys have surrounded her. I just want to say thank you. And thank you for all that you are doing in the field of autism, and specifically at Thousand Oaks, because I know that has a ripple effect that helps everybody.
It does.
You're moving and shaking, young lady, and we really appreciate it. And anytime you have time to come back, the door is open here. I always defer to when you have to be with our kiddos, whether they're 2 or 22.
Yep.
You know, we defer to that because you need to be where you need to be. But whenever you have time, the door is open. We adore you.
Oh, I love being here. So thank you.
Thank you so much. We're going to take a break now, and we're going to be back in just a little while with more Autism Live. Don't forget, in the next hour, we have Dr. Dennis Dixon, who's going to be with us, and he's going to talk about new research showing us how effective that center-based system that Angela Persicke was just talking about is in comparison to the old home-based services. So stick with us.
Our twins, Justin and Jessica, were premature babies, so we always were very conscientious of their development. But I think it was probably 15 months, Justin started getting really obsessive compulsive with opening and closing doors. And Justin started tantruming a lot too.
Get out! I will!
These would be major tantrums that were just completely debilitating to the family.
Having to take them out of the house, put them in the car, drive around, just to calm them down.
I remember a breaking point and just thinking, you know what, we got to do something. This is not right. Once we were on the track to getting a diagnosis for autism, we started sharing that with our close friends and family. It just so happens that somebody from our older daughter's private school called us out of the blue. She introduced herself and she says, I know that recovery is possible. Those words so early in our journey were a guiding force for us. As we got more educated in knowing what is effective therapies for kids with autism, we realized quality ABA is vital to that progress. That's where we decided that CARD was the right provider for us and for our son. Justin responded very well to therapy. The behaviors were tracked, and we saw that what was being instituted was working.
Justin, what are you doing?
I'm coloring.
You are coloring. Good for you.
There was real progress, and it was progress that was tangible.
I just remember when he made a sentence, he said a sentence. We were just happy about it, going, no way, I can't believe you just did that.
What's the date?
The 18th.
18th of what month?
December.
Oh, what year is it?
2007.
Oh, okay, so how old are you today then?
5.
The therapies that CARD did for Justin didn't just impact his daily living skills, but it was a positive impact on our entire family.
Justin. I am in 4th grade. I like playing video games sometimes. My dream to build a teleporter machine. Like sometimes if like we're on an airplane and it's like really long, you guys just say, oh, hurry up with that teleporter machine, we're waiting on you. And I just started Friday Night Lights. This is our 3rd game of the season, and it's pretty fun. You have to be fast.
We attribute so much of Justin's recovery to CARD. Their goal was the same as our goal. We wanted Justin recovered. June 12, 2008 is a day that I celebrate every year because that is the day that Justin was deemed recovered from autism. And Dr. Doreen Grandpichet met with us, looked at him and just said, he's brilliant. You need to keep his mind stimulated because he's very smart and he has no residual traits of autism.
If everybody's agreed and held hands that early intervention is key, then I can't imagine why. If Original Center knew on November 2nd that they didn't speak or make much noise at all during the evaluation, they knew that on that day. I can't comprehend for the life of me why it would even take a month to start speech therapy. That doesn't make any sense to me.
The waiting's hard.
The waiting's really hard. We read things about how the brain is so much more malleable the younger they are. You know, every day that ticks by just seems like a waste of time. You know, you go on the websites and you read all these things, and there's kind of a club, I think, of moms who call themselves autism warriors. And I hated that word when I first read it. I hated it. I still do. Because I don't, you know, there's a lot of things I wanted to fight for, but I didn't really have to fight for autism.
Yeah. It's okay, man. We're lucky in that he sprints to mom.
Okay, this is how my son reacts to me coming home.
Oh, Jack Riley.
Hi! Mommy's home! Mommy's home! Hello!
When he sprints to me when I get home, and he kisses you and hugs you. Where's my son?
One of the first people that I told when we got the diagnosis was a good friend of mine who knew somebody who had an adopted son who has autism. I had not only fought the fight, I mean, talk about autism warrior, this woman founded a whole foundation and was extremely active and extremely knowledgeable, and my friend put me on the phone with her. She was the one who turned me on to both ABA and to CARD, and to tell me how valuable it was, and we're very grateful for it because we realized that had we not been given information, we never would have known. The Original Center would not have recommended that for us. So it required us to really push to get what we wanted. And I didn't know even until I asked the question if I had a choice. And I thought this was great advice. Don't ever feel that you're at the mercy of the Regional Center because they're paying for your services. She told me, you're paying for your services. They're using tax money to do this and you've paid taxes. Intake at CARD was actually a much more pleasant experience than the Regional Center evaluation. I think in part because we'd been through it once and it wasn't as scary for us. It was a good experience for us because we felt like our son was himself. He had all the same things going on as far as autism is concerned, but he was still bright and happy and affectionate. I felt like he showed them both his good sides and the sides that he needs to work on. So for us it felt good because we felt like at least people were seeing what we see. I felt maybe for the first time that they got it, that it's like, okay, he is this way, this is what he's got going on, but we can make this better. At first, it was exhausting to think that every single thing was a teaching moment, that every single thing that he did, and I know that, you know, I would say something to him and he'd be like, really? Can we just feed him? Can we just feed him dinner and we don't have to worry about it? But now even that's not as exhausting because it's sort of starting to become more natural for us, so that it doesn't feel as awful.
But I remember feeling guilty just for be with him all day, and then, you know, just sort of sneak the TV on to Sports Center in the afternoon, and he's playing with his Legos, and I just back up and lean against the sofa with him between my feet, but I wasn't really watching him. I would just try to watch Sports Center for a few minutes, and then I'd always feel guilty and try to get over that. So
No more guilt.
I think we're teammates. That's the best thing. Is I feel like she's on my side, I'm on her side.
We sort of, we've been lucky that my weak moments are his strong moments.
Well, on a personal note, is the camera still on?
It is.
On a personal note, I would be lost. She really dove in, and I mean, I Googled autism, and I still don't understand it until she explained it to me.
Which is scary because I don't really understand it.
Well, that's the point. But she dives to the next step, and I'm just starting to understand the last step, and she's trying to explain the next step. And I told her last night I would be lost if she wasn't doing that, because I wouldn't. I don't think I could. Sometimes I'm reading these things and it just floats over me because I go numb again reading about it.
Well, I think, in fairness, I think one person in each family has to take that role. Because I don't think you can both drive. I think there's always somebody in every family who just takes that role.
Yeah. If somebody takes charge, take a back seat. That's the moral of that. It's saying that too.
Welcome back to Autism Live. We have a new segment that we're trying to do each day that we're talking about Self-Care Tuesdays, and quite honestly, we took Tuesday off this week so that I could be with Nancy after her husband passed away on Monday, and we did some self-care to be with each other, which is so important, right? We're calling it Grateful Wednesdays and Mindful Thursdays. And I wanted to talk today about the idea of being in the moment and how sometimes that's just the hardest thing to do, right? Sometimes it's painful to think about being in this moment as opposed to any other. And certainly this week, I had the experience of being there when Reed was passing, and it reminded me, you know, because that's certainly painful, to see my friend go through that and to see, you know, the actual moment of it and then the grief afterwards. It's humbling. It's humbling. But I have to say this, that so often what's happening in this moment right now is not horrible, is not painful. And even that, I can tell you, having been there and been in the moment with them, it was beautiful. It has to be, excuse me, one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen in my entire life. And I know so many times we're afraid of, well, what's it going to feel like? What's it going to be like? But the reality of it in the moment, if you're present in the moment, holds beauty. And I'm trying in my life. I am not good at being present. It's something that I'm working on and something I've been specifically working on since October. I mentioned that Evelyn Gould is getting her dissertation and doing an experiment in helping autism parents to be more mindful so that they can experience more joy, less stress, and that will that then make them available to their children so that they can better serve and help their children. And I was one of the first test subjects, and it was really, it has been very informative and life-changing. I keep talking about all these things that are life-changing today, but it's true. It has helped me, you guys know, if you watch the show, I'm a helicopter parent, and it has helped me to release my apron strings a little. Not the whole thing, because that's part of being mindful, is that we don't have to do it all today, that it's where are we right now in this space and time. And I just want to share that one of the amazing things that I've known in the past, but I forget it on a regular basis, is that the quickest way to get present in any situation is to focus on your breathing, even if it is just for 3 inhales and 3 exhales. We talk all the time about the monk, Norman the monk, who said this is the way that we could all start our day, finish our day, realign our day, taking 3 inhalations, 3 exhalations, and during those inhalations and exhalations, that's all we need to do. All we need to do. And I've shared before on the show that at some of the tougher days when we were dealing with autism, it was really hard for me to get my son in the car. And once I would get him in and get him locked in his 5-point harness, I would sigh because it was like, okay, that portion of this is over. And one of the things that somebody shared with me is that now you go around and you get in the driver's side and you sit in the driver's side for a second, and you feel like, okay, I need to get where I'm going, but to take, if no other time at that moment in the car, to sit and breathe. 3 inhalations, 3 exhalations, and then drive. And when I think about how many times that probably made the difference of how I drove my precious child in the car, it's humbling. So I want to throw that out to all of us that, it's so funny how we fear, I certainly fear being in the moment, but when I think about the fact that true joy only happens in the moment. It doesn't happen in the past. It doesn't happen in the future. It only happens in this moment. Then it certainly is something we want to fight to be able to participate in. 3 breaths in, 3 breaths out. And only that. If you find your mind wanting to focus on something else, say, that's all I have to do right now is breathe in and breathe out. It was such a gift to me on Monday to get to be present and to get to be there for my friend. And I can tell you, if we were going to look on a continuum and go, what do we think is the most painful thing in the world? To watch a friend die and to watch his wife mourn that, we would say that's horrible. And I tell you, in being present, it was a privilege and it was beautiful. I think there are a lot of things in life that we fear that 3 breaths in, 3 breaths out will make it easier. I'm not saying it's easy, but easier. Mindful Thursdays. It does lead to more happiness, I do believe. Okay, we're going to take a break and then we're going to be back in just a few minutes. Dr. Dennis Dixon is going to be joining us on the show for the first time, and I am so excited about this and what I know he has to share with you guys, because it is a game changer. It is a way that we can all be more effective treating autism. So stick with us.
What would you do if your child was hurting?
If your family's future was uncertain.
If help seemed out of reach.
Have you been given no hope?
Taka means I am not alone in this.
This is the reality for families affected by autism. And today, the number of children with autism is growing more rapidly than ever. Taka unites these families and shows that they do not have to fight this battle alone.
Our oldest son, Jared, who has autism, when we first took him to the doctor to get the diagnosis, it's so sad because they offer you nothing. There's no help, there's no hope.
One of the things that you learn with autism is being very grateful for even the small milestones. When you first get the diagnosis, you go through all the range of emotions. This can't be happening. Why is this happening? You have to get to a point where it's the emotion that has to be leading is, what can I do? The first thing that struck me was walking to a room and seeing, oh my gosh, we're not alone. And there is this very strong community that's already set. And something I still today associate with Taka the most is hope. To me, that's what Taka means. Taka means hope.
It's like you've got all these dreams and goals of what your son's going to do, and you get your diagnosis and you're sent home. And that's it. There's no plan of action. There's no, here's autism, here's what we're going to do to make your life better and help him. It's strictly go home and try to process it and go on the internet. It was devastating, and you just, you go through this 3 week of depression and then you snap out of it. You have to. And then you start making phone calls and trying to figure out what is autism and what are we going to do. And then we found Taka, and it was life-changing.
Autism, there really is no definitive answer. It is trying to find the resources that are out there that can assist you to help your child so that, you know, you just don't feel so helpless at those particular moments.
There was direction and there was hope and there was a little ray of sunshine that he's going to be okay and we're going to be okay. I always look back and think we would never be where we are. Carson wouldn't be where he is at without Taka.
So 13 years ago, my son was diagnosed with autism, and that put our whole family into a tailspin. There were so many different ideas and things that were not proven. Nobody knew what guidance to give us. We had no direction. And then we found Taka. They helped give us a path to follow, help give our son a better future and make him healthy and put him back onto the road of recovery. When your son's first diagnosed, the first thing you hope for is, gosh, I just want my son to speak. I just want to be able to communicate with him in some way. Then you want a little more. You want him to go to a regular school. Then you want him to potentially have a real life and go to college. So you're always hoping for the future of your child. My son is a happy, healthy, vibrant young boy that's going to turn 15 really soon. And we couldn't be more pleased, and without Taka, I don't think we'd be in the place that we are today. We believe the future is not defined for many affected by autism. There is hope and direction for these kids and their families. Taka is dedicated to providing community, support, education, and hope to families affected by autism.
At Taka?
At Taka.
At Taka,
we are families with autism helping.
Helping.
Helping families.
Helping families with autism.
Hi, my name is Matt. I am 19 years old and I was diagnosed with autism when I was 6 years old. Autism is one of the fastest growing developmental disabilities in the United States, but I am living proof that with the right treatment, hope is possible. My future is not limited. Today, I am attending Fullerton Community College and I run for the cross-country team for fun with my friends. It makes me feel proud when I think about my progress. Chances are you know someone affected by autism. Show them they are not alone and help others get on the road to recovery. Contribute to Talk About Curing Autism today.
Welcome back to Autism Live. I'm really excited because we have somebody really special with us here today. You know, I always talk to you guys about how alone it can feel when you're an autism parent. And I love to remind all of us that we're never alone, that there are amazing people who are very quietly working behind the scenes and learning and coming up with all kinds of things that will eventually come to us and help us, that there are people while we're sleeping who are thinking about our kids and how can they do this better, and that these heroes are behind the scenes, often not out of the spotlight telling us what they're doing, but they're always there. Well, today we have one of those silent heroes with us for the first time. Dr. Dennis Dixon is here with us. We've asked him to join us because he holds a lot of different titles that I'm going to mangle and disarm, but he is the executive director of the Autism Research Group. He's the chief strategy officer at the Center for Autism and Related Disorders, and he oversees all of the research. And that's only part of what he does, right? So he's an amazing individual with a beautiful mind. We love how you can analyze things and look at things and how you can take that to help us to help our kids. You have been instrumental in so many things that I know our audience knows about. You did all the analytics on the backside of skills, which has helped all of our kids so immensely. You've been involved in so many things that we talk about that I can't even begin to cover all of them. But I've asked Dr. Dixon to take time out of his busy schedule to be with us today because something has happened that is so huge that it's time for all of us to stop, learn, reevaluate, and shift. It's a pivot point, I think, as a parent. So, and I gave them a little bit of a precursor before because our jargon today was center-based services.
Okay.
But talk to us about this study and what it shows about the effectiveness of center-based services.
Okay. In a nutshell, first, the high point is we find that kids that are receiving center-based services learn about 85% more per hour of service than they do when they're at home.
85% more. Yeah. I love that you started with the headline and you didn't bury it because this is the, I've said to them this morning, I've been sitting on this since you sent it all out to us about a week and a half ago, I've been sitting on this going, wait until everybody hears this.
Yeah.
Because before this moment, we could debate it and talk about, well, here's what's good about home-based and here's what's good about center-based. But the study is in and it's clear. 85%. In fact, Kelby has, if you're a visual person, Kelby has a graph there to show exactly what 85% more looks like.
Yeah.
I don't know how anybody could hear that and not say, well, I think I need to be doing center-based services, honestly.
Well, we ran two different analyses on this, right? So just to make sure that we had covered all of our bases.
Okay.
So what we did is we first pulled out kids that were receiving, and actually some adults too, not just young kids. Those that were receiving only home-based services and those that were receiving the center-based services.
Okay.
And so we then contrasted their rate of learning per hour at the two different locations.
Okay.
And in that analysis, we found the kids that were receiving center-based versus those that were only home-based, they're learning about 80% more per hour of every hour of treatment, and another 80% mastered than they do at home. We did a second analysis because it maybe there's something that is about the kids, the adults that receive services at home. We wanted to look at that and make sure that it wasn't an apples to oranges contrast.
Okay.
So then we did a second analysis that looked at the same kids that are receiving both center and home services. And we then contrasted, so within the same child, when they're at home, what's their rate of learning? And then when they go to the center, what's their rate of learning? And in that analysis, we found that when they go to the center, it's 85% more per hour than when they were at their homes.
Okay. So very conclusive. And I'm fascinated as a parent about what this is going to mean for families, what it's going to do. I know that the Center for Autism and Related Disorders was already going to a model that was center-based. It's a model that I believe insurance really pushes for. And I think in a lot of ways it's a better model for families. I didn't have the benefit of a center-based system. There are parts of it that I think parents have said, oh, I don't want to do that because. I don't want to do that because it will mean that we're driving. Whereas before it was the therapist that was driving. But I want parents to think about that. Think about that for just a second. We used to have doctors who made house calls.
Yeah.
We did. And the doctor would come to the house, but the problem was the doctor was on the horse for an hour to get to your home, and that was an hour where their expertise was not in use.
Yeah.
And when you think about all the therapists that we need to get what we need, if we're sending them all for an hour a day in the car, what we could accomplish with that hour alone, to me, that makes a case for the center-based. But then when you pile on that the kids learn more, we have to adapt as parents. And I'm always saying to you guys, this is so worthwhile. Find the way.
Yeah.
Find the way to do this. 80 to 85% more, depending on which way you're looking at it. Stunning. Were you guys surprised?
I was surprised it was that high. We've had, good reason to suspect that it was going to be better, but to actually go through the data and look at it, my first glance was, this is too good to be true.
Yeah.
And, so then it was like, go back to the original data, look at it, make sure it's clean, that we pulled it out of the database correctly. And then to again run the analyses over again, find the same results, it was really exciting at that point.
Yeah.
Which is then why we immediately started trying to tell our people, like, look,
Yes.
this is important to make this transition. I like to look at what we're doing in autism treatment as that there's a developmental debt, that our kids are delayed, and that we're trying to help them get caught up.
Uh-huh.
And that every hour of treatment is a payment towards that debt.
Wow.
And so what we essentially are saying here is, let's say you're paying off that debt at $1. Well, if you do it at the center, it's paying off $1.85 instead. And again, so as we're trying to catch these kids up, we're trying to help them make as much progress as possible. For me, I know it's inconvenient to drive. That's more time on the road. It's time. It upsets family life, but it's almost double the outcome.
Yeah, and to put it in perspective too, Dr. Jordan Persicke had said the other day, she said, parents ask me all the time, what would you do if this were your child?
Yeah.
But that's one of the things that we want to ask. Well, Dr. Doreen, what would you do if it was your child? And she said, looking at this data, if this were my child, there would be no question in my mind. It would be unconscionable not to get this for my child.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I know that it's going to take some reevaluating, and people have already made big shifts in their life to accommodate therapy.
Yeah.
But I think everybody has to reevaluate, and I personally am available to troubleshoot with you if you're trying to figure out, well, how can I make my life work? I love to solve those kinds of problems. Let's talk it out together. Because it's something that needs to happen. Now, I think what's interesting is that there are a lot of different reasons why this may be, right? And I don't know if the research tells us succinctly why, or we're still in the phase, but we can all point to several things and go, well, certainly this is probably part of it, right?
Yeah, there's likely lots of reasons that we would have actually better outcomes in the center. This analysis doesn't allow me to really look in that and contrast it and know. So it's still the same speculation.
Okay.
We can say, look, this is where our highly trained supervisory staff are there. They're walking around constantly. They're dropping in. They're observing. They're giving feedback to our therapists. Our therapists are getting lots of live training, and also there's no distractions, right? It's a much more controlled environment. There's opportunity actually for them to socialize with the other kids. Yep. You get a lot more opportunity for all these other things. The list could go on.
Yeah.
It's just speculation as to the why. Those will be the future analyses we'll try to run.
Great, but the as you said, the headline here is 80 to 85% more effective than the home-based system.
Yes.
So everybody strap in, because we're about to pivot. Come with. This is clear. This is better for our kiddos. All right, we're going to take a short break. Are you willing to stay and talk a little bit about Camp Discovery?
For sure.
Okay, so we're going to talk to you about a study that's come out about how effective Camp Discovery is. We've talked with you guys before about Camp Discovery, a wonderful app, a program that takes the down hours when therapy is over, you're making dinner, and your child has an option of sitting and playing just any old app or watching television or playing with a toy that they have, or you can give them this app. Let's talk about how effective Camp Discovery has been found to be. More with Dr. Dennis Dixon after these messages.
It's every parent's desire for their child to have a great start in life. Yet there is a condition affecting more children's lives than pediatric cancer, diabetes, and AIDS combined. Autism strikes 1 in every 150 children.
Today, 1 in 110 kids in the U.S. will be diagnosed with autism. That is a huge jump from 30 years ago when it was 1 in 30,000.
Startling new report finds the number of children with autism is skyrocketing. The Centers for Disease Control estimates 1 in 68 children has a form of autism. Now that's a 30% increase in just 2 years.
Well, a lot of this with all the accomplishments over the last 20 years, I'm thrilled.
I think what kept me was the feeling that, I would have a parent come to my office late at night at UCLA and just fall apart. And this is a long time ago. There were much less back then in terms of services and knowledge and so on. And I would just sit with the family and the parents and walk them through and try to take away some of their fears, you know. And at that point I realized, I think the thing that's actually most important to me is that process. I mean, thank God that I've been very, very lucky and blessed to have so many incredible clinicians join me along the way and just develop CARD in such an amazing, magnificent way. That I could, you know, for me, it was more really about how can I help the families? What can I do for the moms, the dads, you know? It is just, and I feel like, you know, there's no way I would ever really know because I haven't had my own child go through this, but I've experienced it with people a lot of times.
Hi, this is Megan. I'm in first grade all by myself. My teachers are so fabulous. I like to read books. I like to go to my friends' birthday parties. I like to invite my friends to my birthday parties. I once had a sleepover with a friend. I like to have play dates with my friend. I'm the best reader in my class. I like to go to the library. I like to read different series of books. And here's how I learned to do all these things. By my card friends and Dr. Grandpichet. Thank you, card friends and Dr. Grandpichet.
Welcome back to Autism Live. We are here with Dr. Dennis Dixon. I said to you, he's one of the silent heroes who's working behind the scenes to make things more effective, to do the research that tells us what really works. I mentioned before the break that we were going to have Dr. Dixon stay for another segment to talk about Camp Discovery. I called it a game and an app, and in the break, Dr. Dixon was saying to me that we'd calling it a game isn't really the right thing to do. It kind of belittles it, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's a digital therapeutic. We're using this application to really augment therapy.
Yeah.
And we've successfully made it fun.
Yes. So the kids think it's a game.
Yes.
But really important for us to understand, this is not a game.
Yeah.
This is some serious business, especially looking at what the research has shown. For those of you who are newer to the show and maybe have not seen Camp Discovery, it's very fun, and it's something that you can do on an iPad, give to your child in the car on the way. Like if you're on your way to therapy because you're going to the center-based system, the child can have the iPad. They think they're having fun, but they're really learning. They're learning the lessons that they're the exact same lessons in many cases that they're doing in therapy, but in an entirely different way that looks like a game. So you did some research on it to see if kids do actually learn from it, and what did you find?
Okay, so we did a clinical trial on it where what we did is after recruiting some participants, we spoke with the supervisors on their ABA cases. We identified some lessons that Camp Discovery could teach that were appropriate for the participant, but they weren't going to be able to get it worked on in the next, say, 2 months.
Okay.
What we then did is, for each child, we probed out those lessons to identify the specific things that they didn't know within that lesson.
So you knew whether they already knew it, so there wasn't any possibility that you were reteaching something. It was an unknown skill to them.
Exactly.
Okay.
So we had 2 groups, and we probed out a list until we had about 100 to 110 unknown items within that list.
Okay.
One group got immediate access to Camp Discovery, and one group got, for the first month, nothing.
Okay.
And then in the second month, that's when they got access to it.
All right.
Okay. So the first group, we said play it for about 3, maybe up to 5 hours a week for a period of a month. Okay, the second group, the delayed group, we said just sit there, be pretty, we'll come back in a month and we're going to test again.
No game.
No game.
No therapeutic tool.
There you
Excuse
go.
me.
There you go.
All right.
So what we found was that the active treatment group mastered about 60 unknown things within that period of a month.
Okay, that's pretty good.
Yeah, and the control group, they pretty much stayed exactly the same.
Right.
Okay. So then what we did for the second month is we took that active group, the ones that got the Camp Discovery, and we said, you guys do nothing. We just want to see if you maintain these skills that you've already learned.
Okay. All right.
So then after a month, we came back and we probed that same list and we identified that they had actually maintained those learned items. They didn't lose the knowledge over time.
They learned it and they maintained it.
Exactly.
Okay.
Now, the delayed group, they now got Camp Discovery 3 to 5 hours a week for a month, and we came back and they had exactly the same response that we saw in the first group.
Wow. Okay.
So the analysis highly statistically significant. Essentially, this wasn't just random chance.
Right.
And experimentally, we were able to demonstrate that Camp Discovery was effective at teaching these skills.
Right.
And
it works.
It's not a trivial amount of things they learned.
No.
When you contrast it to what we see in a lot of ABA programs, it's at least equivalent, if not better, in the rate of learning that we see in the ABA sessions.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So, and I know that the whole idea when Camp Discovery was started was, how do we get more therapy in,
Exactly.
more opportunities to learn? Because we know that, you know, every waking hour that our kid is awake is an opportunity to teach. And as you were saying in the last segment, we have to get them caught up. We have to pay forward this, this debt that we have to get them caught up. But we only have a certain number of hours of therapy, and parents only have a certain number of hours where we have the energy. And there are times when none of it's possible. I have to cook dinner.
Exactly.
I have to take a shower. I have to be in the car. I have all these times of the day, or the phone rings, and I have to deal with something on the phone. And Camp Discovery is ideal for all of those times.
I know you said while you cook dinner, for instance. I know while I cook dinner, my two boys, they're on their apps, they're playing.
Yes.
And a lot of the supervisors who have been using Camp Discovery with their clients have told us that this is the reward that the clients ask for having done well in the sessions.
Wow.
And so for me, that's a really big win because their reward is actually more therapy.
Exactly. So that's the reinforcer, not just the iPad, but being able to play within Camp Discovery. And for those of you who haven't looked at it yet, it's so beautiful and it's so much fun. It's so well thought out, clearly effective, and there is a component of it that you don't have to have a skills account to play on Camp Discovery.
Correct.
But if you do have a skills account, you get a code so that everything that your child plays in Camp Discovery goes back into the skills account and it takes data on it as well.
It feeds back into the same database so that we can all be working towards the same goals together.
Really amazing. So well thought. I can't wait to see what you guys come out with next. And more importantly, I know that you're going to keep looking for the answers.
Yes.
And that is what I want everybody to know, is because I do know as an autism parent, sometimes it just feels like, why aren't people doing, because we don't know. We don't know what you're doing so many of the times. So I wanted you to be here today so people could feel the hope of knowing that people like you are doing this and it comes to fruition. It makes a difference.
Thank you. It's been fun to be able to talk.
Well, thank you. And we'll have to have you back again and talk about more stuff. And as you research more and find out more. And we know you're working on other things too that we want to talk about further another time. But thank you for being here with us. We're going to take a break and we're going to be back with more Autism Live. We've got some news about a new product coming from Lego, something that its time has come. Stick with us.
My name is Jack Riley.
I know a cute little blue-eyed boy, and his name is Jack.
Jack Riley.
He got a big, warm, blue-eyed soul that makes your heart beat fast.
Exciting.
I say Jack, Jack, Jack is my buddy. Jack, Jack, Jack is my buddy. Everybody around is so down with Jack.
So Jack Riley, how old are you?
6.
Are you in first grade?
No, it's going to be first grade though.
So what are you in now?
I'm going 0th grade.
You're in. What do you call 0th grade?
Kindergarten.
The A word.
I think that word was far worse than we ever expected.
Yeah, I remember I kicked the garbage can when we were outside. My foot hurt. I remember that. And, that wasn't a very good day.
Say, yeah, there we go. Good job.
Green or orange?
What is it? What's your dad's name? White.
It's,
Hippo
I guess it's a pretty good example of what it could look like. I mean, there's struggles for all kids, but the fact that they were, Cheryl and Mike were so great, you know, taking in our parent training and utilizing the tools that we gave them and being on board with us and being consistent. I feel like consistency is so important because sometimes I know when parents come home, it's just easier for them to just give the child whatever it is that they need because they've had therapy all day. But consistency, I feel, is so important, and that's, you know, how you get over, you know, their behaviors, their difficulties, and yeah. So yeah, consistency is key, and it's obviously worked for them.
Like that, okay? Ready? You can do it. 1, 2, 3. Yay! Good job!
Good job, Jack.
We adore him, so whether you do the right thing because of that, you're doing something because of it.
I think I saw it.
Coincidentally, some of it's right.
When we first, you know, you hear autism, and of course I did all the online research to scare you to pieces, and you know, one of the things that probably hit me the hardest was that he's not supposed to be a kid who likes affection. He's not supposed to be a kid who's going to put out affection. And of course that's not true, but you know, what did we know at the time? So I think then, and it's in both of our nature that we thought we could love it out of him, which is probably one of the best things that we ever did.
Maybe, I don't know.
I'm going to marry somebody.
Yeah.
Eloise.
Eloise? You got a lot of contenders though for who you might
Yes,
marry.
I do.
Who else might you marry?
She's the only one I'm going to marry.
Oh yeah.
I hope.
And as I said many years ago, I want him to date. I think that forms you. It informs everything in your life. You know, getting your heart broken, breaking a heart, confidence, insecurity, everything's informed by dating. And I really want him to do that. And to me, that's a typical behavior.
Just that, I don't know, I mean, he's just such a cool kid. It's just, we are amazed every day at some of the stuff that he says and does, and feel very, I guess, honored, privileged to be his parents.
Well, what if Mommy asks you to eat broccoli? What will you do?
I would eat it, but I don't like it.
Okay.
It just tastes like, because I don't like eating trees, and that looks like a tree.
That's true. You don't like eating trees?
It looks like a small tree, like this big a tree.
Yeah.
That's one thing that autism has done for us. If I just don't know that if you don't go through this, that you, I mean, I was never someone who lived in the present very well. I tend to look to the future a lot, always planning what's next, and boy, he helps me to live in the present because you just have to. You have to appreciate every little thing.
A part of me wants him to forget that he ever even had therapy, just to grow up and make memories, make friends, and yeah, be successful in life.
Perfect. Now pull the other bunny in. You did it. Design is escape.
It's not a death sentence. A lot of joy and growth, and when you find the fun, it's probably bigger than it ever would have been with a typical kid because you work so hard for it. And that's about it, I think.
Can you take this off?
Yeah.
Makeup.
Temperamental star.
Nailed it.
Welcome back to Autism Live. I have so enjoyed our guest today. I want to take a couple of seconds here to talk about, we got a question that I want to get to, but I promised you autism news, and this is just world news, but Lego has confirmed that it has a new set that will be coming out that features a character who uses a wheelchair. And I just want to say how I love Facebook, and that we get an opportunity to see these stories and hear all of them, and because that's where I got this story. Somebody posted that for me on Facebook so that I would see, because otherwise I think I would have missed it in the deluge of world news. But I love Lego. I love that they listen. I am appalled that this had never entered my consciousness as an autism parent. It hadn't occurred to me that there isn't a character with a wheelchair, and that they're bringing out a series of characters that are hopefully the whole purpose of it is for it to be more like, so that any child could say, this is the Lego that's like me. So I want to thank Lego. I want to thank Facebook. I want to thank the Mighty, because they covered it, and then that was covered on Facebook. I think that it's really thrilling. Now, we had a question that came in that I really wanted to address, but I just put in the wrong number. So let me do that so I can read this to you exactly from one of our viewers that we love. So they wrote it in and said, "Hi, Shannon," and they gave me their name. They said, "Thank you and Dr. Doreen a million times for the positive reinforcement you provide to me and my family. I have a question in regards to ABA therapy. My son was diagnosed with mild autism and speech delay. The moment I found out, I immediately began to gain all the information I could through this journey with my son. That's when I found out about Autism Live and the CARD program. And every time I saw a clip of what CARD has done for so many children, I felt as if I'm not alone and there is hope for recovery, and that I too would one day hear my son say his first sentence. I have tried contacting the CARD Association to follow up with requirements that they have asked for, but was unable to get any services based on the minimal insurance coverage my son has through Medical Health Net. However, I'm currently looking into out-of-pocket insurance, private insurance, in order to get him more help for my son. While talking to my son's speech pathologist, she's a younger lady, she mentioned that she was not too familiar with the program, but has heard bits and pieces about CARD Association. She mentioned from what she knows, she didn't think ABA would help my son with his speech delay, and was under the impression that ABA would be more helpful for kids with behavior issues. Is this correct? If am I wrong looking to get my son ABA treatment? I didn't want to take her negative talk to heart without proper knowledge, information from someone who has walked that road before. I would look forward to hear from you and any advice that you may have. I'm currently attending behavior classes every Thursday at the regional center. I figure any way I can help my son have a better day, it's worth a shot. So first of all, This is me hugging you. I'm glad it's through this medium because I have this cold and I don't want you to get it. But I can give you an air hug, right? An on-air hug. I will tell you, I speak frequently, and I was speaking in front of a group yesterday, and they were asking me, what is the quality in the parents that you see in the kids that do the best? And I said, honestly, my informal research that I have done when I talk to parents all over the place, and I've seen them progress and see how their kids progress or hear how their kids did progress, the number one factor is the parents' ability to say, I'm going to do whatever it takes. When we get parents who are fired up and say, look, I know there's hope. I'm seeing it. I'm seeing people all over the place and seeing that their lives are better. What do I have to do? And their ability to say, we're going to do whatever it is, that's the number one thing. And I got to say, I think you have that, you embody that. You're doing all the right things. I also want to say to you that as far as the insurance goes, because I know from where you said that you're in the state of California. Now, roughly 50% of people who are in the state of California have access to ABA and good access to ABA. There are a whole other set of people who have some access, but not enough. And then there are people who seemingly don't have any. But I'm glad that you're starting to look at, because in the state of California, there is Covered California, which does cover ABA. So I'm glad that you're talking to the folks at CARD about what you need to have to make it happen. If there's any way that I can help that, you have my email. It's s.penrod@autism-live.com. Lean in. Let me help you in any way that I can to make sure that you get the best information of what exactly you need to have to make this happen as quickly as possible. The good news is that the Covered California policies are often very inexpensive, and it covers it. So if you're in the state of California, there's a way to get it covered, right? And if you need some help jumping through the hoops to get that happening, I'd love, that for me is such useful time. It's so overwhelming as a parent when you're going through, oh my gosh, I got to do the paper, what do I have to have? Oh, right? Which one is which? It can seem so overwhelming, but I would love to help you through that, because I know that once you get through that hoop, the good stuff starts to happen. And you don't have to keep jumping through that hoop. It's just the first one, and it's on fire. So if you want some help, s.penrod@autism-live.com. Okay, now let's go on to the part about the speech therapist who, I love speech and language pathologists, and I think that they're great people, and they are so helpful to our kids on this journey for certain things, right? But here's the thing. There is so much bad information out there about ABA, and when you're a speech and language pathologist, and even if she's really young and she's basically just come out of her program, she probably did that as insurance was getting into place, and they didn't cover how ABA, good quality ABA works in conjunction with a speech and language pathology program. They just didn't. And in fact, there's only a few colleges that probably are beginning to cover it right now. So she doesn't know, bless her heart, she does not know. And even yesterday, I was having a conversation with the Autism Supermom, and she was talking about ABA and having had a version of ABA that I don't think is a quality version of ABA. And this speech and language pathologist may have had clients who were having ABA and is judging all ABA based on that. And she might have a negative opinion about ABA. And what I'm learning, because I had the best, and in some ways that limits me because I want that for everyone. And I tell people, go and get ABA, and that there are many great ABA providers, many that are doing good quality ABA. I do think that the CARD method is a very specific thing, that it's a good quality ABA on the steroids. That was my experience, and I don't want to say that there aren't other ABA providers, because I think there are great ABA providers. But if you have an opportunity, and I know where you live, I think that CARD is the thing to do. And I know for a fact in CARD ABA that it is this is my personal opinion, if you have a child who's delayed in speech, it is the best, the most important thing to do with your child. My son had speech in addition to the ABA that he had, but it is not what helped him to speak. It's not. It helped him to speak clearer. That's what his speech program did, but it did not help him to speak. ABA is what got him to speak. Excuse me. I will also say that getting my son healthy set the base for him to be able to speak as well too. I was saying yesterday that when we tried the gluten-free, casein-free, things speech-wise turned around very quickly, and it laid the groundwork for ABA to come in and take and get him caught up. Now, he began to speak, very quickly, but we couldn't understand him because his oral motor development was so far behind because he hadn't been speaking along the way. SLP helped with that. And we continue to work on that. But speaking, ABA, and I got to tell you, CARD ABA. We got to take a break because I'm coughing. We'll be right back. Hi, I'm Shannon Penrod, and we're at the ABCs and XYZs of Special Needs Conference. And this year, for the first time, they've got something really remarkable. It's the Entrepreneurial Boutique. These are all items that have been made and are being sold by individuals who have special needs. So we're going to do a little shopping and talk to some of these fabulous entrepreneurs. Come on.
My name is Molly Rarick, and I'm founder of Breed's Gift. We're a nonprofit that serves teens and adults with special needs, like Chase here. We were founded in 2013 and serve people in the Conejo Valley, Santa Barbara, and LA.
Our main objective is to give our participants the skills they need to gain a more independent life.
My name is Shelley Cox, and Lisa Zalagi and I are founders of Creative Steps and Create Micro Business Enterprises. And the items that we're selling here today are all made by the clients who have passions about what they want to make, and then they get the profits from what they make after we've paid all of the other expenses.
We are here today because my goal is to be independent, and also I would like to share all my artwork, and I would like to sell.
Thinking about at his young age being a businessman, it's amazing. I cannot be more proud.
Our twins, Justin and Jessica, were premature babies, so we always were very conscientious of their development. But I think it was probably 15 months, Justin started getting really obsessive compulsive with opening and closing doors. And Justin started tantruming a lot too. These would be major tantrums that were just completely debilitating to the family.
Having to take them out of the house, put them in the car, drive around, just to calm them down.
Yeah, I remember a breaking point and just thinking, you know what, we got to do something. This is not right. Once we were on the track to getting a diagnosis for autism, we started sharing that with our close friends and family. It just so happens that somebody from our older daughter's private school called us out of the blue. She introduced herself and she says, "I know that recovery is possible." Those words so early in our journey were a guiding force for us. As we got more educated in knowing what is effective therapies for kids with autism, we realized quality ABA is vital to that progress. That's where we decided that CARD was the right provider for us and for our son. Justin responded very well to therapy. The behaviors were tracked, and we saw that what was being instituted was working.
Justin, what are you doing?
Coloring.
You are coloring. Good for you.
There was real progress, and there was progress that was tangible.
I just remember when he made a sentence. He said a sentence. We were just happy about it, going, "No way, I can't believe you just did that."
What's the date?
The 18th.
18th of what month?
December.
Oh, what year is it?
2007.
Oh, okay. So how old are you today then?
5.
The therapies that CARD did for Justin didn't just impact his daily living skills, but it was a positive impact on our entire family.
I'm Justin. I am in 4th grade. I like playing video games sometimes. My dream to build a teleporting machine. It's like sometimes if like we're on an airplane and it's like really long, you guys just say, "Oh, hurry up with that teleporting machine. We're waiting on you." And I just started Friday Night Lights. This is our 3rd game of the season, and it's pretty fun. You have to be fast.
We attribute so much of Justin's recovery to CARD. Their goal was the same as our goal. We wanted Justin recovered. June 12, 2008 is a day that I celebrate every year because that is the day that Justin was deemed recovered from autism. And Dr. Doreen Grandpichet met with us, looked at him and just said, "He's brilliant. You need to keep his mind stimulated because he's very smart and he has no residual traits of autism."
Autism. What is autism?
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 I've been asking myself that for a very, very long time.
Let me think about that one.
Trying to, just,
Jeez. Let me think. Oh man, that's a rough one. Yes.
Autism,
Autism is a neurological disorder that affects many of our kids in different ways.
It's a learning disability that affects the cognitive functions of the brain.
A lot of people have the misconception that it's a disability, and it's really not.
I look at it as like a special gift.
When one person thinks differently from another.
It's an opportunity for everyone to learn to understand someone that's a little different than them. Autism is the ability to educate.
They're given so much talent in different areas.
To me, autism means a chance to be with and be around people you really care about. Autism is beautiful.
It's a way of seeing the world differently.
Always unique, totally intelligent, and sometimes mysterious.
Happiness that comes out of my son's hard work.
It's a movement.
Unpredictable.
That's right.
Awesome. Love.
The field I want to work in.
Laughter, fun, joy. Autism is beautiful to me.
I want you to remember these 3 words. There is hope.
Welcome back to Autism Live. I'm alive and well, and we're continuing on with the show. See, you get me hepped up, and then I start coughing. Excuse me. So, in any case, I really want to encourage you, everyone, whether you have access to ABA from CARD or you have access from somebody else, in all cases where we have a child, whether it's mild autism or something else, you want to be doing ABA. It is not just for behavior issues. ABA is to teach. and it teaches a wide range of skills, any skill that a child needs to acquire. Excuse me, we can teach through ABA. And when a child gets a diagnosis of mild autism, it means that there are deficits. There are things that they are not, their development is not where it should be. And if we don't attend to those things, we won't get them caught up and they will continue to get further behind. So it's really important that we get to those things early. And when there is a speech delay, there is an even bigger opportunity for that child to fall further and further behind. So yes, the answer to your question is, I believe, as somebody who has been on this journey and watched so many other people on this journey, your child needs great ABA. And your child deserves great ABA. And you as a parent deserve to have that experience. And by the way, you want to have the right amount of ABA. I believe that your child is very young. And so it is essential that you get the right prescription, which is probably going to be between 25 and 40 hours of ABA intensively from a therapist. I want to encourage you to seek that center-based therapy services that we were talking about earlier. I want to encourage you to try Camp Discovery and be using that. Camp Discovery very specifically works on speech things. A lot of the things that the child works on are speech related and communication related. So I want you to get started with that today if you can. And I want you to write to me so that we can find out how we can get this started for you as quickly as possible. You know, we hold hands to get through this, and so many parents helped me along the way, so I want to help you to make sure that you get moving, because you're an awesome autism dad and your kid is amazing. Now, I want to pivot here a little bit to talk about tomorrow's show and about what's happening in the world. You know, as an entity, Autism Live is not political. It isn't. And I always like to say to everyone that we, as a group of individuals in a community, we are so diverse. Whether you are parents, your teachers, your practitioners, you are the individual on the autism spectrum yourself, we are so diverse. And we all get to have different opinions about things, and we certainly all get to be from whatever political party that we are a part of. But we are here in the United States in an election year. And there is so much at stake for our community, depending on which person should end up being our new president, right? We've seen how much of a difference the delivery of service can be depending on what happens with insurance and what happens with the law. So it is something that we are going to talk about, but I want to talk about it in a really open discourse. We welcome any of the candidates that are participating in the election, the primaries, that if they want to come and talk about what their autism plan is. I'm not, as you know, there are plenty of other forums where they could talk about all the other things that their plans are, but this is the place where we talk about autism. Now tomorrow, we're starting with, during a show that is called The Future is Bright, that we do in conjunction with the Autism Society of America, one of the top advisors to the Clinton campaign. Tony Colho is going to be here via Skype with Stephanie Schaefer, and they're going to be talking about the Clinton autism plan, which is the only plan that we have seen come forward from a candidate. Now, I don't know about you, but I hope that all of the candidates come forward with their autism plan. We're reaching out to them, and we hope that you are too. And if you have a connection to a campaign to help us to get to them to say, come on the show, tell us what your plan is. It doesn't have to be the actual candidate. We love having someone who is a top advisor, someone who has a say, someone who can speak effectively to what that candidate believes for individuals who are on the autism spectrum. We will make time because it's very important. So tomorrow, you're going to see that air at 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. But send in your questions now so that I can get them to Stephanie Schaefer before tomorrow morning when we actually film this. So it's important, you guys. It's the future. It's our future. It's our kids' futures. We should at least know. I'm not saying that you may, look, when everybody gets their plan out, and I hope they all do, you may look at the plans and go, well, I got to be honest, I'm going to choose this person despite the fact that I don't like this in their plan. But wouldn't you like to know? Wouldn't you like for that to be part of your decision process, knowing what their intentions are, what their thoughts are, what their understanding of autism is, and what their willingness is. So tomorrow, Tony Coho, we're very excited to have him here with us with Stephanie Schaefer during The Future is Bright. I hope you will all tune in, and I hope if you have a question, if you have a concern, send it over to us. Then Autism Live will be back live next week. Our expectation is that, I don't know that that's our expectation. We're cautiously optimistic that we might have an opportunity to have Nancy Alspaugh-Jackson join us back, but we'll see. We will see, each thing in its time. And thank you again. Thank you, all of you, for bearing through my unwellness, for being with us. We want to thank our two fabulous guests today, and we want to thank you for sending in questions. And thank you so much for all your condolences for Nancy, which we have forwarded and will continue to forward. I will see you next Tuesday. You will see us at 2 o'clock tomorrow with Tony Coho. Until then, give your kiddos a hug from me and one for you too. Bye-bye now.